Walk me through your childhood. Where'd you grow up?
So grew up in Western PA, from Johnstown specifically, Flood City. Represent.
Wait.
I know.
I knew we were kindred spirits.
I unfortunately saw a pretty dark side of the television news industry. And I was like, you know what? This is just not working out for me. Told the GM I'm leaving. And he's like, what are you doing? You're going to ruin your career.
We're going to get to all of that in a hot second. But first, I want you to know the Ryan Leckey Show is sponsored by the Vanity Lounge in Pittston, PA, northeastern Pennsylvania's premier medical spa. Visit them at vanityloungenepa.com. And when booking your first appointment and service, use code Leckey to save 15%. I'm a huge fan of the owner, Tia. She takes care of this mug all the time, so check them out. Hey, friends. It's the Ryan Leckey Show. Welcome to the Ryan Leckey Show. Hey, what is going on, peeps? I could literally jump off the couch for today's episode with excitement. The one and only, somebody I've been trying to get to our podcast studio for like months.
I'm so excited.
Right?
This is monumental.
This is a hug from Jesus having you on the couch. The one and only, she is known across social media as the Pennsylvania Junkie.
Yes.
Pennsylvania Junkie.
Yep.
Kat, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you today?
I'm
so jazzed to be here.
I'm super stoked.
I am excited.
And the craziest thing, when we shared a little story, you shared it as well, that you were coming on the show because you are in love with all things Pennsylvania. And we're going to pull back the curtain on all of that.
Random.
When I told people you were going to be on the show, people were having meltdowns.
What?
Like losing their mind. My friends were calling me today. They're like,
Are you serious?
I have a friend who works on the team. She's like, I can't get here. I have to put my kids on the bus. There's a part of me I just wanted to put them on by themselves just so I can come say hi to Kat.
Stop
Yes.
it.
You have become like really this
No.
Pennsylvania. You're becoming the Pennsylvania icon.
Oh my God! Stop!
love
Stop
it.
that! That is absurd.
No.
That is very sweet, but
Legit,
really.
people I haven't
my
even
God.
talked to who I worked with like eons ago. They're like, I am so jealous you're talking to her. So we're gonna give them all the tea. We're gonna pull back the curtain. First and foremost, how did you come up with the Pennsylvania Junkie? Because if people are like, maybe I didn't see her on social media yet. What's your shtick? Like, what are you all about? Because you have a huge following now.
Oh my God, Ryan! I don't even know. Like, TikTok was a thing in 2018. I think people forget this. Like, 2020 TikTok became big because of the pandemic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in 2018, I had a cosmetics business. It was the first business I had. It is no longer, but I was kind of like dabbling in that. So I was like, oh, there's a new social media platform. I didn't want to do it. I was like, oh my God, I already have Instagram. I already have, I don't want to deal with it. It's
a lot of work.
It's,
a lot of
it's
work. Yeah.
so much. You have a media company, it's exhausting. And I'm like, do I really want to do this? So I got on it. And then the more I scrolled, I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, this is fun. This is different. It's fun. So I started posting these beauty videos and they're still there. Like, you can still go to Pennsylvania Junkie. It's been a journey.
Is it you putting on like eyeliner or
like my matte liquid lipstick I had at the time, it's called Catsy Lou Beauty. You can still see the videos. And I was so proud of them because like, it was just this new creative wave of video content. And Pennsylvania Junkie didn't come until later when I heard this trending audio on my main feed. It was this girl saying, Pennsylvania check. And I saw all these videos, like I had competed in Miss Pennsylvania for 10 years. So I've always been like a nerd about PA, always, even as a kid. So I saw this video and these people were coming in drones in the comments like, oh, I'm from this county, I'm from this township, oh, represent. And I'm like, oh my God, look at all these PA people. I was so excited. And so I just decided, it's a trending thing. I was getting used to TikTok. And I was like, I'm going to use this audio. And it was just a stupid video that I did of like me in my apartment. And again, all these people came in drones in the comments, like so passionate about PA, representing all over the Commonwealth. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like maybe I should share more about my experience because I grew up in Western PA.
Yeah, I was going to ask, were you born in Pennsylvania?
Yes, I was.
Walk me through your childhood. Where'd you grow up?
So grew up in Western PA, from Johnstown specifically, Flood City. Represent.
Wait,
I know, totally
wait a minute.
different.
Do you know I'm from the Flood City?
Are you kidding me?
No.
Wait,
hold
did
on.
we know this?
We
What?
need to unpack this because we didn't really chat a lot before you got on the couch because I'm like, I just
Stop.
want it to be real. I grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
did
I went to
not.
Westmont Hilltop High School.
Shut up! Oh my
Graduated in 2001. Wait, where are you
I
from?
went to Richland.
I knew we were kindred spirits.
I did not
This
know
is insane.
Oh my God.
You
I
lived
love-
in, well, how about this? I lived in Richland for a hot second when I was a kid,
my
moved
God.
to Westmont when I was in second grade.
Oh,
Westmont, the best mom.
I am
we used
de-
to
I
say.
am de- I'm
And
dead.
Richland and
You are
Westmont,
our
the schools
biggest
like
rival.
kind of, yes, hated each other.
I love you.
Wait,
This is insane. Wait, when did you
didn't my area
graduate?
code tip you off? The 814?
Actually, Actually, you're right. Oh my God, I
Yeah.
just didn't even think of that.
Oh
You
my
know
gosh.
what? It's funny
Wait, so you
because
grew up in Richland, Pennsylvania, like Johnstown,
yes,
Pennsylvania,
yeah,
the
yeah.
flood city.
Exactly. I cannot believe this. So wait, you went to Westmont. When
Yeah.
did you graduate?
2001. When did you graduate?
Cannot believe this.
Can we-
2009.
Okay.
From Richland.
Okay.
I cannot even freaking believe that. This is crazy.
This is nuts.
This is
I knew this was
insane.
going to be a killer
Oh
show.
my God. And I didn't even put the 2 and 2 together with the 814.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
Yeah, because sometimes people think State College, Altoona.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah,
I
true,
think the
true.
thing is that the commonality we share now that we know we're both from Johnstown, right? But I also think our
can't.
love for Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth. I love the people.
love it.
I love the food. And that's what I think you do such a great job of is sharing the good in PA.
Thank you. Because I grew up in Western PA, moved to Central, so State College to study, and then I moved to Southeastern, which I've been there for like the last 10 years now, over 10 years. That's why I decided to share this because we grew up in Western. And when you go from Western to Southeastern, it is like almost a culture shock.
You go
It's
from the word yins to use.
Use guys.
I've heard use guys,
yes.
use guys in northeastern and central Pennsylvania.
Exactly.
Not everybody says it, but when you cross the line, one time I'll never forget, I was traveling from here to visit my mom in Pittsburgh when she used to live there. And when you'd cross over to Clearfield County, like Du Bois, I went to a McDonald's once, and instead of like, what do use guys want, what do yins want? And I'm like, we've crossed the line. We've crossed the line.
Stop. Well, it's so funny because we got married last December. Well, yeah, last December in Pittsburgh. And Keith, my Jersey husband, at the time, like the guy at the Omni William Penn Hotel downtown, which is my favorite place to stay, Zach at the desk, he was like, oh yeah, your Yin's room's ready. And Keith's like, did you hear him? And I go, what do you mean?
Yeah,
did
you're
I
like,
hear
I'm
him?
home. How about that?
I'm like, welcome home, Keith. Welcome
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
He loved it. He was so excited.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So before we even come back to the Pennsylvania Junkie,
Yes.
walk me through. So you graduate from Richland High School in Johnstown,
With the
Pennsylvania in
Westmont
2009.
Hilltopper across from me.
Yeah. Rivals right here on the couch.
I can't.
What did you do after high school? Because I want to kind of unpack your journey to how you got to where you are today.
Oh my God, we need 3 hours.
We
for
got.
this.
I
This
used to
is-
work in news. We can cut this
We
down.
need a memoir, okay? So after graduating from Richland, I moved to Nashville. I was actually so over Western PA, and I tell people this all the time because there's so many haters of Pennsylvania, and I respect that. Like I get it because when I was living in Western PA, which again is like a bubble, Johnstown, it's like a bubble, okay, smaller town, and so I went to Nashville. I was like, I'm going to study music because that was my passion. My parents pushed sports on me my whole life. And I was like, I want to do marching band. I want to sing in the choir. Like, I want to sing. And my parents were like, who is this child? So anyway, I moved down to Nashville. I studied at a university called Belmont University, which is a private school. And it was amazing. I met people from all over the world. Like I'm talking Kenya, like there are people from everywhere at Belmont. And it was just this melting pot of liberal arts students. And I felt so in my element there. And I still have friends to this day from Belmont, and I follow their journeys. They follow mine. And it was so special. So during that time, I was there for a couple years, and I was like, you know what? I saw Melanie working at the boot store, and she is like Whitney Houston reincarnated. Seriously, this girl was like amazing. And I was like, I don't know if I have this kind of grit for this. I really don't. Nothing against working at a boot store.
But trying to make it.
Correct. So I was like, I don't know if this is something that I want to do the rest of my life. And I told my parents, had a heart-to-heart with them, and I was like, I think I need to do something else and maybe not go back to school. My mother was like, over my dead body. Yeah. Will you not go back to school? Because that was just, that's the
That's what we did.
conditioning. It was,
Yeah.
Right. That's the conditioning of the world. Necessarily, do you need it now? Maybe not. Perhaps not. Then my mother was like, no. So I went back to Johnstown for a semester. I studied education.
Wait.
I have no
what
idea
school?
why.
Because I'm going to fall off.
UPJ. Stop it. You did not study at UPJ.
Proud graduate
You
of the
are
University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown with my degree. That was where I did my undergrad.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I
you're
lived in
kidding
Hemlock
me.
Hall for a semester.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
my
yeah. Oh my God, Hemlock Hall. I always loved Hemlock
UPJ.
Hall.
I lived there for a semester, and then I started working in like television at 18. So I got my own apartment, and I lived on a big strip in Westmont called Monaco Boulevard. I was all excited.
Knocker Boulevard, and nobody knows how to pronounce it from
me
who's
know
not from
her.
there.
Me know her.
Yes,
That's how
me
you
know
spell
her,
it.
Correct.
So this is incredible. So you go back to Johnstown because your mom's like, you're gonna finish school, right?
Roxanne was not having it. She was
Okay.
like, you're going back. And I'm like, why? So anyway, I went back for a semester, and then I decided education's not for me. Okay. This was a whole
What was your
journey.
major when you went back?
When I went back, it was education. It was elementary education. That's what I was studying. And I'm like, you know what? Not going to work. It's not going to work. And so I decided I always had dabbled in this idea of doing communications, doing journalism. And I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough. I just had this limiting belief that I was not good enough and not cut out
Which
for
blows
it.
my mind because I see how you,
It was-
deliver everything on camera now. And I'm
Thank
like,
you. Right,
natural.
it's same to you. And I was just like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So that's why I kind of just did that random semester at UPJ. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I ended up touring Penn State around that time with my parents, the journalism program. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I didn't think I was going to like Penn State. My brother went to Penn State. I don't know why I didn't think I was going to like it. I guess because I was used to like the private school, small school type of vibe from Belmont to UPJ. And I went to Penn State and I'm like, oh my God, like there's so many people from all over the world here, but like on a even more global scale. It's amazing. And so I ended up making the decision to transfer to Penn State and to study journalism. So that's where the whole journalism career started.
Okay. Did you finish your undergrad at Penn State?
I did. Yes, in
Good for you.
2013.
In
Yes.
journalism?
Yes, and that's when I met John Hickey, who is our mutual connection.
Yeah, who I used to work with at WNEP TV.
In upstate New York.
6 degrees of separation, you and me.
Don't you feel like in the news business, everyone knows everyone?
As big as it is. That's why I always tell
Seriously.
people, I don't care what industry, and never burn bridges, but especially in news, it's so big, but it's so small.
So small.
Yeah.
So small.
So you left then Penn State.
I did. Yeah.
Did you take a gig in television?
I did. So in upstate New York at a little station called it's now My NBC5. It's WPTZ. And I anchored the weekend show there. So it was I was pretty excited about that because I had just graduated and they're like, we're going to put you in the anchor chair on the weekend, which, from a broadcast perspective, that's kind of a big deal because I was just expecting to do like general assignment reporting. And I did that for about a year. And at that time, while I was at the station, I then got another opportunity because I got to be honest, the news was not newsing for me. I was like, I loved upstate New York, loved Lake Champlain. It was my backyard, loved the nature, loved Vermont. I was reporting in Vermont too. So I would take the ferry, the news car on the ferry, go over to Vermont, report, and then on the weekends I would anchor. And it was just like the best. The people I met were the best. My newsies, the people in the newsroom, with the exception of a few. And that's one of the things that led me to leaving. I unfortunately saw a pretty dark side of the television news industry at that time. And I was like, you know what? This is just not working out for me. I was threatened. I was like, they were like, you have to pay me $10,000 to leave the station.
To break your contract.
To break my contract, which my agent had warned me of. He was
Agent,
like,
look at you.
Oh, well, at the time, so he's a close family friend, and he was like, if you have any questions, reach out, whatever. Yeah. So I just signed with them before I got into this job to be smart about it because I was so green. I was so green and naive, and I was also stuck in people-pleasing phase. So I was terrified when I decided to leave. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they were like, you march in there and you tell them you're getting out. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I ended up doing it. I told the GM, I'm like, I'm leaving. Lo and behold, because my agent also was charged money to leave when he was at a station on the West Coast. And he's like, what are you doing? You're going to ruin your career if you leave here. You're going to ruin your career. And I was like, I am not going to ruin my career. I'm going to be just fine. That's the one thing about me. I've always been ultra optimistic, and I've always known I'll be protected no matter what. So I was like, I am leaving. I'm going to leave. Like, I'm going. And they were just appalled. So they fought me and they were like, we're blacklisting you. You cannot, work in the industry, whatever. You know how it goes. And so I lawyered up and they were like, okay, instead of $10,000, you can pay us $140,000. And I told my lawyer, this lawyer at the hole in the wall place in Plattsburgh, New York, I was like, $140. I go, I'm not paying. Like, this is me. I was like, I'm not paying $140. And my attorney's like, listen, you're going to just pay them because you're going to pay me more in our services together. So just pay them the $140, get out of there. Yeah. And, it was a very, as much as I loved my team, it was a very toxic environment. And we could go into all of that. Yeah. It was such a toxic environment, like preying on young women. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of sexism. And at the time I was so green and naive to the world that I just I didn't even really see it until I just felt this energy. I just felt the energy and I had to go with it. And it was just, after I left, a lot of the reporters were like, and the videographers and the photographers, they're like, they were emailing me individually, independently on my personal email saying, how did you get out of here? Like, how did you do this? I want a crash course. And I'm like, to be honest, I don't really know. I just stood up and said, I'm out. And I left.
And that takes moxie because, right, like any
was-
industry, but especially, I mean, look, I've heard the stories in those contracts that are like ironclad, and nothing feels better when you get out of those.
Oh my God, it felt like I was free again. It felt so good because I was like sleeping at the station. I'm like, is this legal? Like, is this even freaking legal? They're like, just get a sleeping bag. I'm not even kidding. Like, you know, the ice storms we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
You were reporting the snowstorms?
Yeah.
You're going to have to stay here tonight. I'm like, I don't want to.
You're like, OSHA, hello?
It's for your safety. I was like, I'd rather die in a
Yeah, I'm going home.
in this newsroom.
I'm going home.
Yeah.
So you work there, you leave the news industry.
Yep.
Okay.
Left the news.
What was next for you after you paid that $140, got out of that contract?
Petty cash.
Yeah.
Petty cash, really. So after that, I went to, the shopping channel called QVC.
Never heard of it. Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
And I got this gig with Dell Computers after this like rigorous interview process. And they were like, we would like you to be our primary representative on the air. Well, at the time I had a boss and a manager who was doing most of the airings. So I was kind of like moving my way into it as he was elevating into a new role. But yeah, that was, talk about a shock to the system because I came from like the 99th station in the market in TV news to this big robotic cameras everywhere in the studios.
To basically a network show.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, like talk about limiting beliefs. Like I didn't even think I was worthy of TV news, let alone this. So
how fast did you call the old people you used to work with and be like, by the way, I'm on a network now?
I really did. That I'm so glad that I'm just like removed from that. I really am. And I respect anyone who works in the news because I still have a lot of newsy friends who have had great experiences. That's just me seeing through this is the lens of my own experience, of course, like everything else. But I'm so glad to be out of it because it really drained my soul. Like it was really draining my energy. And, home shopping at QVC is its own world. We really could have like a whole entire series on this.
Just this.
It's its own
So you're
world.
peddling Dell Computers then essentially. Go to QVC. I'm
Literally.
leading up to the launch of the
Yes.
Pennsylvania Junkie. So you're there, you're on QVC,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
How long did you do that gig?
That was almost 10 years. So yeah, I started when I was 23. This is very young buck.
I heard you
and
make a lot of coin there. Is that true?
You do. Yeah, you do. The money was new to me. The lifestyle was new. I was also in the beginning like
Yeah, compared to making probably $6 an hour at your
Correct.
first TV gig. I get it.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, look at this.
Exactly.
I get it. I've been there.
And a lot of on-air personalities there and hosts and guest hosts, like a lot of, not the host necessarily, but the guest hosts like me, they're contracted. So there's even more money to be had in that way.
Good for you.
Yeah, it was a shock. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Dell ended up parting ways with QVC. So in March of 2020, and this had nothing to do with the pandemic and everything to do, maybe it did, I don't know, but all I know is they were parting ways. It was like, I'll never forget the day, March 6th, because I was like at home celebrating. We just moved into this Philadelphia apartment. My then partner, who's now my husband, and we're toasting, and I just get this email saying we're parting ways with the company, and that's the way it is. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe no one even called. No one even called. So it was a little, because it's a smaller team. So that was a shock. And then the pandemic happened, like literally directly after. So I just went into this ultra, like super rough depression. I had anxiety every day. And I know so many can relate to this. But it was during that time I started posting videos about Pennsylvania. Like really,
How did you do that during the
posting them.
pandemic? Was it mainly outside stuff? Like,
Well,
walk me through the launch of Pennsylvania Junkie.
Yes, good question. A lot of the PA Junkie stuff that I started off with was like these kind of like I'm playing characters, like I'm myself, then I'll play my mom in another shot. So it was all shot inside, like my mother saying, "Oh, look,
Roxanne."
Roxy, Foxy, Roxy." Yeah. So Roxy would be like, "Oh, we need to get that, she'd be like, get the towel, Jim, get the towel." I'm like, what is she talking about? Like, even as a kid, I was like, is she saying tile or towel? Like, I can't figure
This
it
is
out.
my family.
Does your mom say the same stuff? Like,
Some words
something.
I'm like, wait, what did you say? Or growing up in Johnstown, look, and shout out, I'm not putting all Johnstown people in the box, and I love my Johnstown family.
Yeah.
So proud of where I came from.
Same.
But we omit the to be verbs and everything.
I just seriously.
Okay, so when I first moved to Northeastern and Central Pennsylvania, right, and I'm working at what was like, for me, Reporters Boot Camp at WNEP, and I had a great experience there, loved them, and I learned so much.
Yeah.
I used to not use use the to be verb. So I would be like, this needs washed.
This needs
and then they'd be like, needs to be washed. And I'm like, what?
I'm so glad you acknowledge this.
My mother, I still catch her doing that. Now, my mom lives in northeastern Pennsylvania now, but you could take the girl out of Johnstown. You can't take Johnstown out of the girl.
I love
Same
this.
thing. And I'm okay with it. But
it
I
makes
catch
you
myself
feel at
sometimes.
home, right? Like
Yeah.
my mother says all the time, she's like, this needs done, you know,
Yeah,
or needs
yeah.
red up, needs
Yeah,
red up's
yeah.
next level. I say red up. Okay, that's the only thing, you know, that's the only thing that I've taken and adopted is red
yeah,
up.
yeah.
My dad.
Don't lose it. Keep it.
Yin's guys ready all the time. Yin's ready.
But he's serious about it.
No, like they're dead. This is just their way
Yeah.
of life. And then he'll say, you know, we got to wash those clothes. I'm like, don't. I was like,
Yes.
don't with the wash.
I had a lot of
said,
relatives that put the R in there. Worse.
where is, I guess, I don't know if that's a Dutch thing. My grandmother says it, Grandma Lucille.
Yeah.
Like, and that's his mom, you know, my dad's mom. And I'm like, if you say George Washington, it's done. We are
goes right through
not,
me.
I'm not your daughter anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we're done.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then pandemic, right?
Yep.
You're making some of this content and you're doing roles where you're being you, but you're using words that your mom would say, right? And people are
Yes.
connecting to it.
Yeah, they are. They're like, oh my God, this is exactly, or I didn't even realize I was doing that. Like the to be verbs, for example, the different pronunciations of PA
The
towns.
towel is huge. I get that.
Oh, the towel thing, the towel. It's a huge thing.
Now the
right?
pronunciations.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cities,
Oh, of the
towns.
towns. Oh yeah. So you know.
Do you remember in Johnstown, people would always say, I'm going downtown.
Oh, in Pittsburgh too, they say it. It's like
Downtown.
it's the Yinzer thing trickles into Johnstown. They do. Johnstown.
Do you remember
Yeah.
Petula Clark's song? I can't even say her name.
No.
Her song "Downtown" when you're alone and life
Oh,
is making.
yeah.
My friends and
I
I
do
would
know
sing
that.
that, and we would go
Yeah.
downtown
Oh
all
my
the
God.
time.
It's so
and
true.
now when I say it, kind of like it's like nails on a
and it's
chalkboard to
spelled
me. Yeah.
DAHN.
Yeah.
TAHN.
Downtown.
Downtown.
Yeah.
Downtown.
But
You going
proud
to-
of my
you
roots,
going
so
downtown?
I'm there for it.
Yeah, that's how they talk.
So you make these videos, people are connecting, and they're like, "This girl gets me."
I
Right.
guess, you know, I've never adopted these things myself, but I basically just shared through the lens of my own experience yet again, like through my parents. They're really, my brother has the accent too. Like, I don't think they hear it, but when I moved to Southeastern PA, there was a whole new dialect. I'm like,
You had to
what
learn it.
in the world is happening in this state? Like it was crazy. And I actually started noticing that. I shouldn't even say when I moved to Southeastern, when I went to Penn State, I started meeting people from Philly. And this was my first time really being exposed to that many Philly people in one location. And they would say, like we would go to class, whatever, and they'd be like, yeah, I'm done my homework. I'm like, please don't do this to me. Like the to be was enough for me from Western. You are not saying I'm done my homework. You are not saying that. Please, you're done with your homework. What is happening?
I love it. I love
sometimes-
people, and I love people who just like own it, right?
Don't you sometimes feel like you're like on the outside
Yeah.
looking in at all this?
But I'm here for it.
Yes.
And these are the people that I just love. I love.
Yes.
And that I love so many different parts of PA. And
Yeah.
coming back to this, so when you're traveling, right? So now how would you basically, what's your elevator speech about Pennsylvania Junkie? If you had to encapsulate
Oh my
what you
God.
do and what this social media platform that has just blown up all about, what would you say?
It's a soul journey and it's all about spreading joy. That's all it is. That literally is all it is. And it's, you know, it's about tapping into home. Like whether you are wherever you are in the world, like I had someone reach out from Ireland saying, oh my God, I feel so at home because I have family in PA. I've had people in Missouri, as they say in certain areas, PA, right? I have people in Missouri saying, oh my God, my family's from Allentown. I feel so at home seeing these videos. I feel like I actually went to Missouri for many years because I performed there. I sang at the Miss Missouri program, which was a connection through Miss Pennsylvania. It was so random, but it was the best 10 years ever. And one of the contestants, she would tell me, oh my gosh, our family's from Allentown. I love hearing your accent. And I was like, you're like Johnstown area, whatever. I'm like, I have please don't tell me that. Like, please, because I really thought I escaped it. Because I was all like journalism, you know, like trying to be.
Yeah, and my sister and her family still live there. And sometimes when they call and they say stuff, and I'm like, what'd you say?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's so many of those little quirks. And that's what makes PA so special is the people. And I hate saying that because it sounds so cliche. Like,
It
really,
is.
girl,
I
really?
agree.
But it's so true. And if you have to get out of your bubble, like we're from Johnstown. You have to get out to really experience it. You can't
And I
sit
think also
there.
appreciate where you came from.
Well, right. I mean, you have to appreciate the journey. You have, like, I was just driving up here today and I was looking at the foliage and there was just like a lot of construction on the roads and it reminded me of being home. Like, obviously there's construction all over PA. It's
Never
a thing.
ends.
It's a never ends. It's an ongoing thing in Pennsylvania. We all talk about it and complain about it, but it made me think about my
And
dad.
our roads are terrible.
They're
Right?
they're like, what is happening? Are we working on anything? What's happening? Like,
There's road work every day, everywhere, and the roads are bad. But when you live in Pennsylvania, you just get used to it. You're like,
do.
I literally wrecked my car in a pothole on a street they've been working on for 10 years. And it's all right.
It's like someone standing over a pothole, like,
Yeah.
like just looking at it. Like, are we filling these?
And
or
in
what's
our
going on?
backyard in Archibald, Pennsylvania, the largest pothole exists.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
In the state
yes,
park.
Yes,
That's a
yes,
whole
yes,
nother
yes,
thing.
yes.
Yeah.
So exactly. So I was driving through and I was seeing the construction and I don't know why, but I got this energy of home, like Johnstown, Western PA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I agree with everything that Johnstown has to offer? Is it a small bubble that I needed to expand from? Yes, it absolutely is. But I would never say I don't appreciate where I come from because where I come from is important in my own spiritual journey and my spreading my wings. Like, I grew up as a people pleaser, for example. A lot of people in Western PA are very nice. They're very like overextending. They're like, it's like the Midwest of Pennsylvania.
Sure, back over me with your car if it helps you feel better.
Exactly. Like,
right?
it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I sorry was a crutch for me for so long. And I'm sorry unnecessarily. Why are you apologizing? You know what I'm saying? So then I moved to Southeastern PA and I started meeting people and people will say, well, people from Philly are so mean, you know? And when I first moved, I actually kind of understood that. I felt that way. I was like, oh my God, they're so mean. Then after a while of living there and understanding the culture, I was like, no, they're teaching me something that I need to be taught, which is to stand up for myself and stop being a doormat, you know? Stop being a doormat to people in your life. Stand up when you don't want something or when you want something, say you want it or say you don't want it and have like, there's no apologies needed. This is unapologetically.
Shout out to Philly for that lesson.
Philly, thank you so much. I genuinely needed that so badly in my life. However, I do love going back home and getting that like Midwest because everybody has the conversation.
Maybe having your mom wash your clothes.
Yeah. Oh my God, stop it. Yeah. Washing the clothes, redding up the room. I love it. Yeah.
So I have a million questions that people submitted and that we wanted to tackle with you
Yes.
as well, just more on Pennsylvania.
Sure.
And I love you sticking to your roots through all of this and through all of your journey.
You as well.
Let's talk about your favorite spots you have visited in Pennsylvania. Is that tough to narrow down?
It is. It's tough because there's so many across the Commonwealth, like so many. But I will tell you my favorite. This is so. People do not agree with this. Like a lot of people are like, why would she say that? However, I'm in my 30s now and peace is very important to me. Peace and quiet and calm you cannot put a price on that. You really can't, especially now that I'm like outside of Philly. There's always something going on. People are like really like moving. I love Central PA. It is that's where I went to school and I obviously remember it from school, but it's quiet. It's like this. And it just feels so nice to be there. And I'm like, oh my God, I can come back to myself. I don't know what it is about that calm that Central PA offers, but I love it. I also love Gettysburg. Like a lot. I'm going there on Saturday.
I saw it in your post. Yep.
I can't.
She's
the
off
Apple
to Gettysburg.
Festival. Yes.
There she goes.
There she goes.
I actually thought when you were talking about your love for Gettysburg, I'm like, is she into like Civil War reenactments? Because I mean, I'm here to support you for that, but I didn't know. I'm like, does she dress up in uniform and go
Do
there?
you like Gettysburg?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I haven't been there since I was a kid.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So I don't remember it.
Right. Well, I mean, same. And then I went like recently, like last year I went.
Yeah.
And I went to this place called the Dobbin House Tavern, which dates back to the 1700s. It was actually a place where and I read it because after I left there, I was like, the energy here is wild. They also have the best French onion soup. I'm not even a French onion soup person, but they have like.
But there you are.
I absolutely am there. It's haunted. I like everything in Gettysburg, basically, because of the history. But the Dobbin House Tavern actually served as a place for, like, after the Battle of Gettysburg, for people who needed hospital support, medical support. Wow. So I was like, wow, that makes sense with the energy for sure. I could feel it.
Now, I think when I look at all of your travels, and I have other things I want to ask you about some of your adventures, is this now your full-time gig?
Yes. This is
How
what
does
I do.
it work? Because I think when people see this, they're going to be like, how does this girl earn a living? She just travels all over PA. Because I want people to know, I think every day we take this state, the people who are just so amazing. And I love the different types of people that you get to meet for granted.
Oh, my God.
And now here you are, building a brand off of Pennsylvania. You're from, PA. native.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
So it wasn't always this way. I wasn't always supposed to take this full time. This was supposed to be just like a fun thing. And after a while, I was like, why am I not taking this seriously? Because not seriously, but why am I not considering this as a part of my career path? Because I love it so much. And you always hear people say, oh, do what you love. You'll never work a day in your life. It's honestly true. I feel like you can attest to this too. I mean, it's work. There are days when you're like, I'm going to rip my hair out sometimes.
And then
For
there's days
sure.
where you look around and you're surrounded. I mean, for me, I look and I see my team and I see them growing
are
and
awesome.
learning and doing stuff. And I'm just like, I love this.
Isn't this like so worth it?
Yeah.
So it just, there's a happiness there. And I have more gratitude than I have stress. And that's when I knew I was like, I need to do something about this.
So do you
Like,
reach
for
out
real.
to Pennsylvania businesses, restaurants, companies? Like, how do people, when they see this, because they might be like, how do you like sustain this as a full-time job?
Right. So a lot of it is brand partnerships. That's really important for Pennsylvania Junkie.
love the collabs.
We love the collabs.
We love a collab.
I know you love the collab too. It is really important, and it's not important just for me. We're like, oh, they're paying me and I'm getting paid. It's to me, when I was in upstate New York working in the news, they always put me on the Small Business Saturday beat, which I found to be interesting because in Johnstown, the streets are lined with small business. I grew up around small business owners. I've always been so passionate about that. Like, they've always been so just amazing to me. Like,
Yeah,
people,
and the families behind it. And I think that's the
know.
coolest thing. Like, when I moved even to this area and I really just fell in love with the food in northeastern Pennsylvania, right? And you meet the families behind it and the grandkids working for their grandparents and just the passion people have and how much they hustle and how hard they work. And I love to support them.
Isn't it so amazing? I really connect with that. So for me to partner with, sure, they're paying me for my time and my services, but it's also giving them exposure. I think we're still not in a place where we're supporting small business enough. Like, the attention to detail that goes into it, the time. You know this, you have a small business. There's so much heart that's put into it that you can't get from a big corporation. It just doesn't happen like that. That's when things kind of, and I'm not like knocking bigger corporations, do what you need to do, but a small business owner really does need that support, and it's important to me to be able to do that. So that's, the brand partnerships is a big deal for many reasons.
And Kat, you mentioned people have reached out to you from Ireland and other places around the world.
Yep.
If they say to you, where should I visit if I ever come to Pennsylvania? What do you tell them?
Oh, okay. First of all, we need to get into the Capricorn rising and me. Oh, do you know your chart? Your astrological? Oh.
I'm a Pisces. That's all I got.
Oh my God, I love. Okay, so listen. I am a Capricorn rising, which means I'm a Sagittarius sun, which means I love to have fun and I'm spontaneous and I love to travel. Duh. Capricorn rising is like, listen, we need to get this in line. It's practical. We need to think this through before you make your move. So if you're coming to PA, the questions you have to ask yourself are, what are you trying to achieve? Like, are you coming for adventure? Are you coming to experience the liberal life? Like, what do you want to do? Are you bringing your kids? Are you bringing your dogs? Like, these are all the things that
Are you coming to learn about the Liberty Bell? Right.
The Liberty Bell, which we should talk about the Liberty Bell. So, are you going on a historical tour in Philadelphia? Like, what is your goal at the end of the day when you come visit PA? And then we can go from there. Because, like, in Philly, for example, great historical starting point, right? Like, you've got the Liberty Bell, you've got little old town Philly. It's really beautiful there. There's a lot of great places to eat, a lot of great places to have drinks. I absolutely love Philly. Like, coming from Pittsburgh area, and Pittsburgh is totally different, by the way. Pittsburgh is this, I just challenge people to go from Philly and Southeastern to Pittsburgh and Western and just see the difference. You'll be like, oh my God, this is night and day. Pittsburgh, and I've actually forgot this until recently, but
The Stellars play there.
the Stellars. Oh my, I just made Stellars
My whole
shirts.
family, they're all Steelers fans.
Love.
But they say, I'm going to watch the Stellars game today.
Yeah, of course they do.
Like,
It's
Stillers?
always Stillers.
Yeah.
Yes, always. That's how they pronounce it.
Here's your
'cause, you know,
terrible tell.
We can never
Pittsburgh
pronounce
Dad,
things.
right? Shout out to him.
Pittsburgh Dad. We love Pittsburgh Dad. We can never pronounce things the way they're spelled. So that's a thing. But I went to Pittsburgh recently, and I was like, oh my God! Like, at night, it's so quiet, and you're like, do people live here?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
serious. But you still get like the
And
city
Philly never
experience.
stops.
Philly never stops. And, there's been some issues with Philly lately, too, with crime and carjackings. It's crazy, actually. Not lately. I mean, this has been going on, frankly, for the last several years. And people who have lived in Philly for decades that I personally know will tell you it's gotten pretty bad. It's gotten pretty bad. That is not to deter someone from going to Philly. You should still go to Philly.
All the historic sites, the Rocky
Definitely.
Steps, all that stuff.
You should definitely go to the Philadelphia Orchestra. I'm sorry. I'm such a nerd about this. I
love that.
scheduled my Tim Burton Nightmare Christmas.
Already?
They're playing to it. They play to the movie. They play the whole score while you watch the movie. It's incredible. But like, yeah, you go to Pittsburgh, it's like iron steel mill city, and it's just a totally different vibe. You go to, Northwestern PA. The Northwestern PA peeps are on my case a lot. They're like, why are you not here? And I'm like,
I love that. I love that they want you there.
It's flattering. I feel so pressured sometimes because I'm like, I'm one woman. I don't have this like team, like you go here, Ryan, you go here,
Right,
Matt, you go
right.
here, Grace, you're going over here. Like one day, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. And perhaps that's in the plans one day, but right now it's me. And I'm like, well, I would have to get a flight. Like at this point, it's 8 hours away. So I did plan an Erie trip for next year, which I'm very excited about. I haven't been to Erie in forever. And the Erie peeps are really pushing for me.
But how great is it that you get to just have a chance and you literally live your life and you have a business around spotlighting all the amazing things in Pennsylvania?
It's
because
really
you're seeing
cool.
stuff in PA that people say if they lived in Pittsburgh forever or Johnstown forever or even Philly forever that they maybe have never, got a glimpse of, and you're sharing that, which is so cool.
Thank you. That's one of the things though that I'm like, get out of your bubble. Like because people will tell you all the time, they're like, it sucks here. It's the worst state in the world. And I grew up in Western PA in my bubble. This is when I had that resentment because I didn't experience anything else. I never had lived in Central PA at that point. I never went to Philly. I never experienced anything else. So of course I was like, it sucks here. I hate it here. And that's what I see so often. And I'm like, please get out of your house
And learn how good you have it here.
Truly,
right?
like, just get out. And you talked about the people in southeastern PA, in Chester County specifically. We had a prisoner escapee on the loose recently.
I remember.
Danilo Cavalcante. Sorry, I shouldn't even have said his name. Give him more attention. But he was out and about for like 2 weeks. Everybody was stressed out the wazoo. There were freelancers who do like YouTube videos. There was like actual media in Philly, and they were all like, these people were coming together. I was watching their live streams, and these people were like, come to my house and stay. Like, we have dinner. We can make hot dinner for you if you're tired. You've been reporting so much. If you need a place to stay. And that means the world to see. I was like, oh my God, it like makes me emotional because that's kind of like the environment we grew up around. People are like, I'll bring food over. Like, that's that like heart and soul. And, you don't, I think for a lot of people, and I know this for a fact, you don't really appreciate it in many cases until you're away from it.
We traveled overseas, and I remember telling people, if you were in Italy, and they're like, where are you from? Instead of saying the United States, Pennsylvania. And my partner, Matt, would be like, not everybody knows where Pennsylvania
Or
like,
PA.
Or PA.
Oh, my God.
He's like, you should say the United States, right? And I almost felt when I was overseas like I was an ambassador, right? And I'm holding the door for people. I'm like, I want people to have a great, taste in their mouth about people from Pennsylvania.
I love this for you.
But I feel like
that's
you have that
amazing.
same vibe.
Oh,
And
God.
by going away, right?
Are you telling me we should go to Italy together?
Well, that
all
could
of
happen.
Us?
That
yes,
could happen.
I think we should.
But I think by going away, like when you did your stint in Nashville and everything else,
Yes.
like when you go away, you realize what you have at home.
Well, and you know what's funny? Like some people in Nashville, I would meet kids. They were like, "Oh, I'm like fellow students," and they're like, "Oh, I'm from Pittsburgh." I'm like, like I literally would get, "Oh my
Yep.
God!" Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
And they would get really freaked out. They're like, "Girl, stay away!" Like just. Girl, you're crazy. Like, step to the side. And I was just like, but I'm just like so at home right now.
Yeah.
I was like that desperate. Like,
And they're like, stop hugging me.
yeah, they're like, get away from me. I hate Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh my God, that's terrible. But
I
anyway,
love that. But I think
yeah.
you hit the nail on the head. It's about going away to realize what you have back home. I
Yes.
have so many other things I
Yep.
got to rip through in this
Go ahead.
podcast with you because people are so excited to
Go
get
for
the
it.
deets. So we talked about obviously like where people, you would encourage them to travel if they're
Yep.
from out of town because it's all about is either adventure or history. Love all of that. And I think you really did a good job clearing up what makes Pennsylvania stand out from the others. But the
Right.
one thing I've seen you do videos on, Perogies.
Oh,
Now, again, and if you're really into it, people will be like, pierogi.
Yeah.
They get real into it.
say it right. Yeah.
What's your favorite pierogi filling?
I like the traditional, honestly. And I've on this pierogi tour I'm doing around like all of PA, the pierogi pilgrimage. I've tried a lot of different kinds so far that I've never tried before, like cheesesteak pierogi, for example. It's delicious. I was shocked because I normally am one to just go for the traditional.
And I love that you visited these mom and pop shops on your stories.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when you say, just so we know, traditional, because people might have different versions of that, are you
Right.
just talking the
So
potato?
it could
or potato and
that
onions?
can vary from different countries. So like I'll go with the Polish, for example, farmer's cheese. It's the best. It's just the potato, the cheese, doused in butter and caramelized onions. It's so good. You can't cap that. Another person, I was actually at my cousin's wedding in Western PA recently, and there was a woman, Monica, there she's from Poland. Like, has the accent, everything. She knows the language. And she was like, oh, I love sauerkraut. That's my go-to. And I was like, I love sauerkraut too, actually, because my mom, sauerkraut is a thing. Like, some people are like,
or some relatives have called it sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut. Right. Yes, sauerkraut. So
Goes right through you, but I'm like,
it
serve
really
it up.
does.
I'll take a
Exactly.
scoop.
I don't know if your family does this, but on New Year's Eve, my mother is obsessed with, yes.
Are you going to talk about
Kielbasi?
kielbasi? Some people here in NEPA call it kolbasi.
Oh, you know.
Hot dog, sauerkraut, you got to eat it at New Year's.
You
It's
have
like
to,
good luck.
otherwise
and
you'll
pork.
have bad luck forever.
Yes.
My mother is so insane with this. She's like,
Yeah.
you didn't make the sauerkraut. I'm like,
Yeah.
Roxanne, relax a little bit.
I
And
think I
she's
need
like,
to
"You're
meet
gonna have bad luck
Roxanne, but that's for
forever."
another
Oh,
podcast.
you would love Roxanne. she is something else. She's like, you're gonna have bad luck forever. I'm like, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. So
She's like, click.
yeah.
You mention throughout a lot of your posts, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, the differences in the cities and everything else.
Yeah.
Who has a better fan base?
Oh, this is gonna get me in trouble. This is gonna get me in big trouble.
Go on. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Listen. I'm gonna make a disclaimer. There is no team that's the wrong team, okay? I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers girl by nature. That does not mean that I don't respect, like, the Eagles, for example.
I love the Eagles.
Stop. What are you
Did you
gonna
see that
say?
recent video that went viral too, with people spelling Eagles very interestingly?
No.
It was like IG. Anyway, that's a whole
Like
nother
Eagles? Like they say Steelers?
Eagles, but it was like one of the
Yes.
best videos, and I just love that people got behind this woman when she misspelled Eagles. And
Right.
that's why I love Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
People are like,
exactly.
that's our girl. We're putting that on a shirt.
Exactly.
So who has a better fan base?
They both, honestly, the answer is both. Let me ask you this so I don't get in trouble. What do you think about each fan base?
All I have to say is yay sports. I don't really watch, right? But I mean, my
Yeah.
family my mom lived in Pittsburgh for years. I mean,
Right.
University of Pittsburgh graduate as well,
Right.
worked at UPMC for years, and they would all go out to the
gosh,
games.
yeah.
Steelers fans don't mess around.
Well, okay,
but so do Philly fans. I don't know.
I gotta be honest, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Steelers girl. When I was in Nashville, I went to my first Steelers game against the Titans. It was my first one. I went with my mom. There were more Steelers Nation fans, and they are from all over, like all over the world. They show up. Like, they show up and they show out. And when I was at QVC, for example, I met people from Philly, like tons of people. They're like, oh, I'm a Steelers fan. I'm like, what?
I'm the QT. They're like, I got to tell you something.
Yeah, yes, they do. Like, I can't obviously be loud about it in Philly,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. Like, Eagles fans are extremely passionate. They're extremely passionate, like aggressively passionate. So, Pittsburgh sports too. You could another Pittsburgh sport is a Kenny Chesney concert. Like,
Yes.
people are feral at Kenny Chesney.
So we're gonna
concert.
call it a draw then, maybe, right?
Yeah, we're gonna call it a draw.
Okay.
It's pretty even for different reasons.
So with
Looks
your
different.
traveling, right, spotlighting these different cities and even like the small towns.
Yeah.
Right. At what point when you're doing all this, content creation around all of, PA, did you say I can earn a living out of it? Was there like one video that blew up that you're like, okay, I can do this?
That's a really good question. A couple years ago, like, brands would start reaching out to me. I don't do a lot of reaching out personally because I want it to just happen naturally. That's maybe that's a limitation I have. But there were a lot of companies reaching out to me, and I was like, oh my God, like, they're willing to pay, what I feel my time is worth. They're willing to pay for it. Maybe this is something that I could do. And it started happening more frequently. So I was like, oh, this is like supplementing my income. You know what I mean? This is a job.
What did your
in
husband
itself.
say?
I don't.
At what point was he ever like, you need to go back to the 9 to 5?
I-
Or when this started taking off, was he's like, we're on something
Keith
here?
has always been so supportive of my dreams. I love him so much for that because so many people aren't. I've had partners in the past who are not at all, like, tried to control my journey and tell me what they think I should be doing. He's like, if you love it and it makes you happy, that's the only thing that matters. Like, I don't want to see you miserable. I want to see you thriving in what you love. And so that's like precious to me, but I still don't think Keith fully understands at the same time because he has a 9 to 5. He's an auditor for a bank.
My partner does the same thing.
Yeah.
They're like, what is Ryan doing? I don't know.
We're the
Mike's
artsy people.
video. Yeah, we're the
like,
creators.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I still don't think they fully understand like and they don't, because they don't see the work that goes into it. Well, at least Keith does not see the work. I'm like, Keith,
A
there is
90-second
so
video
much.
takes hours and hours of editing.
Well, it does. And like just the planning and the emails back and forth. Like there's just, it's a job, you know, it's a job. So yeah.
A question I got from one of my team members, because we're talking about spots in Pennsylvania you visited. She definitely loved your tour of Lititz. Am I saying that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Which sometimes people say it.
Lititz.
Yes. I wanted you to say that.
It is Lititz.
Now, a number of people would say this is an underrated town, but how did you decide to go there and visit? And what did you spotlight when you were there?
Oh my God.
And tell everybody, where is Lititz so they know?
Okay, Lititz is in South Central PA, and people will say Southeastern. I say South Central. It is. That's, to me, it is. It's this small town, and it used to be, dating way back to the 1700s, it used to be home to the Moravians. And the Moravians were like Czechoslovakian immigrants who lived there, and they were extremely religious people. And I learned all about this. I haven't even posted that part of the tour yet. Like, stay tuned. But it was so interesting. The Historical Society, I randomly woke up and I was like, hey, he had connected with me, Corey, who runs this show in Lititz. He had connected with me. He said, if you ever want a tour, reach out. And one day I woke up and I was like, I'm itching for Lititz. I don't know what's happening, but I want to go to Lititz. So I contacted Corey. I was like, you're probably not available. And I totally understand if not. But I am heading to Lititz today, you know, and on a whim. He's like, yeah, I'll give you a tour. I'm free. He walked me through the whole town. We spent like hours together learning about the history. It is so amazing. And people always say, Lititz is so cute. You know, we always have that surface level approach to PA towns, which is great because they are adorable. They're like little Hallmark towns, but there's so much history. And I guess I didn't appreciate history until I got to a certain age. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is like amazing. You can learn so much about what used to be in these towns. It's incredible. And there's great eateries. There are great shops, Wilbur Bud chocolates, which are better than Hershey's. I'm saying it. I know. They're better than a Hershey's Kiss.
Bump the brakes. And what is that place again?
Wilbur chocolate. I think it's like Wilbur chocolates. Yes.
And this is in
Wilbur
Lititz?
Chocolates. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And you can't find them like anywhere, according to the people who live there. So yeah.
Okay.
So
take a trip to Lititz is what you're telling people.
Take a trip to Lititz. It's adorable. On Christmas especially, they say there's like a fire and ice festival, I think, happening in the winter too, in February maybe. There's a lot going on. There's ghost tours now because, you know, we're in the Burr months. So it's a lot of ghostly activity there too. There's a corpse house there.
Well, that's what they, by the way, and even in this area, my neighbors have told me this, and they're like in their 70s. They used to call funeral homes corpse houses.
Oh,
back
really?
in the day. Yeah,
I
they'd be
didn't
like,
know
yeah, it's at the
that.
corpse house.
Okay, well that makes sense.
And the after party at funerals, they were called the good time.
Oh.
So that's like, I think, I don't know if that's just an NEPA thing, but back in the day, people would be like, are you going to the good time afterward?
I'm definitely going to the good time. I want my whole experience to be a good time.
I'm going to give you a chance because I want you to pull out your phone because this next question
which just fell on the ground, by the way.
Okay, I'm going to have somebody grab this if somebody can. My teammate Grace, she's sneaking into the shop to grab this.
Coming up. Okay.
And the question is that we wrote down because I said this is really huge. So one of the things about Pennsylvania, especially northeastern Pennsylvania, are these tiny cool towns and cities that are currently in their revitalization era.
Yes.
So what is your advice to be more appealing to younger residents, potential residents? Like, kind of like you're telling these towns, come back, live here, work here, set up shop. And when we briefly kind of, sent you some of these questions, and a lot of this stuff is off the cuff today, but there were some things we really wanted to dive into that you could think about.
This question.
You put it out to people who follow Pennsylvania Junkie, and what did they say?
Because I had my own thoughts, and and a lot of people share what I initially thought, which was, first of all, the energy of the town, diversity, housing, jobs. What are the jobs looking like the details of those jobs. So I'll read to you some of look how many people answered.
It's insane.
It's absolutely insane.
That is a lot.
All right. Somebody says the men. My single girlfriend said the men.
The men in the coal towns that are on the comeback.
She said if they're, the men have to be on tap, and I'll be there. Okay. Basically. Okay, so that's a little joke.
We should point out this is how to get the younger people to set up shop back in these smaller towns.
Correct.
Okay.
What
did other people say?
Clean streets, one decent restaurant, one new age bar that is open past 10. We want to be able to go out in the wee hours of the night Are you a night prowler?
No, I'm in bed by like 7 o'clock. My team will tell you, don't text me
like,
after 7 because I'm in bed reading.
I have my babushka on. I'm ready
Yes.
to go to bed.
Again,
Okay.
kindred spirits.
Exactly. So, small business with intentions and love for, we love this. Small business with intentions and love for the town. This is from a Brit, that's her name. People who genuinely want to make it better. The Pear Pub says lower housing costs, more job opportunities, peaceful rural life. See, I think people are valuing peace more than ever now. I really do. Even the young generations, I think they're over it. I think they're over the hustle. I think they're over the work all the time. Yeah. I think they're getting it. I think they're actually getting the answer to life.
I think our generation, right? Millennials,
Yes.
right? We are like, go, 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 hustle.
We've been
right?
conditioned.
Yes. And I think this new generation, which would be what, Gen
Z.
Yeah. And I have to say, there is the stereotype that, oh, Gen Z doesn't want to work. I have Gen Zs on my team, and I think I plucked all the ones that hustle, the Gen Zs, but they also realize the work-life balance. And the Gen Zers, by the way, I just got to say, because you probably run into them out and about when you're on your food tour.
I love Gen Z.
How do the Gen Zs go out to eat all the time? Right? I'm like, some of the people, I'm like, I know how much money, like, how do you go out to eat for every single meal?
Listen, I swear, they are just living life, and I'm so
Living
here for it. You know, the Sagittarian in me is like, let's go. I'm so here for it. People forget part of work is working on self. Part of work is taking a minute to breathe. Part of work is relaxing in nature. That's so healing. That is part of the work that people forget to do.
Do you get to enjoy, though, the nature spots, et cetera, that you visit? Because I feel like, I mean, you're a content creator. So when you're there, you're like, look how pretty I want to sit here. Oh my gosh, I got to film it. I got to get the guy in the canoe.
Literally was just thinking about this on the way here, that there are so many times when I'm like, I just want to enjoy this. I really do. Like, I don't want to have a phone out. Like, this is nature. You know, I don't want to, it's like when people say I don't want to mix business and pleasure. I don't want to mix nature, my healing place, and tech. It is hard to separate that because a lot of the places I'm like, oh, I have to share this with people. Like, they would love to know about this. Some places I do set a boundary with myself and I say, Kat, this is your time. Stop, put the phone away. Don't even bring it. And that's probably dangerous, but yeah, go in the woods alone. Don't bring your phone. You know what? Whatever happens, happens, honestly. So, it's beautiful. But, they also say more land, outdoor activities. More land is a big thing. Housing prices, the way that they're shown online, maybe instead of getting into bidding wars and paying whatever $450,000 over, making the communities walkable. I would love to see more centers for teenagers to have fun, cute cafes, socializing clubs. What would you like to see?
That's tough. I think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of those, and I resonate with a lot of those. I think it's small businesses, it's places you could walk to in restaurants.
That's the best.
I love that. I think that's one of the coolest things. Like when you visit a New York or a Philly, right?
Yes.
You want to be able to go out to dinner, have a drink, but not worry about driving, right? And I think, and in this area, there's so much good food and stuff, but you just kind of sometimes wish, like when I first moved here, I lived in the city of Scranton for many years, and I could walk anywhere in the restaurants. I mean, they try to have more of them downtown, and I love that. I would love to see that in the smaller communities, the boroughs and municipalities. And speaking of that, I think that's what makes Pennsylvania interesting as well. We're like one of the few states in the nation that has all these like municipalities and boroughs and townships, and you learn that early on in the news business, right? Like county lines and like making sure like you nail it. If you're standing here in Scranton, it's not Dunmore, and where's the line, right? But but when we tell people from other states that, they're like, huh?
Yeah, they don't understand it. It's very confusing. And
another cool thing about PA, it's just unique.
Right. And I love the walkable towns. Like I used to live in Westchester. Have you been to Westchester? Yeah. So Westchester has a university, Westchester University. It's kind of like State College. I would say I don't know if it's smaller or comparable in size. I'm not even really sure myself, but I lived there for a long time and everything was so walkable. I lived in an apartment complex that was right on the corner, like down in the borough. And it was just like you made a right turn and you were at all the restaurants, you're on the main strip, and it's just everyone's eating outside and like the holiday lights are up. It's just so special, and it's just it's the best.
The one thing I have to say about Pennsylvania, maybe you've experienced this as well, the thread I think that is woven through everybody, if they're from PA, whether they live in Philly, Scranton, Pittsburgh, people have each other's backs and they care. And I think people don't get enough credit for that.
No, I don't think people do. I really don't. Do you feel like it's different in other areas? Like in your experience, have you seen an example where you're like, oh, it's not like that in PA?
My mom for a time as well lived in like West Palm Beach, Florida. So you would go there, right?
Okay.
And even I don't know, when you're from PA, you're trying to hold the door for people. You're like, hey, how's your day going? And I even found myself doing that in New York City when you go to visit, right? Like, how are you? And nobody says hi to you.
Yes.
Right? And I'm like, oh God, that's the PA thing coming out, right? Where you're like everyone's best friend.
Yes.
And I think when you go away and come back, you realize like, man, we got really good people. Like if your loved one's sick, if you're dealing with something, people reach out and they care.
And they do. And I think that's so important that you brought up like New York as an example. And I love the grit. I love it. I love the different personalities. I'm here for that because like I said, it taught me not to be a doormat. I appreciate it.
Like what you learned in Philly when you lived there.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's something special about humans actually being kind to one another. Like there's something really special about that. And I don't think that we should ever knock on that. Like it's, oh, people are just being fake or they're just being kind. Like they might just be being
really
hi,
nice.
How are you?
Yeah.
Like they might, that I genuinely can't be another way. That is just, it's not a people pleasing thing. It's just, I don't want to be mean. Why? I don't want to be like ignoring you.
Have you found the characters, I guess, in these restaurants you've met that you're like, this is why I love the state of Pennsylvania? Do you ever go to a restaurant and you meet people who are just, they're just characters,
Oh my
and
gosh,
you're like,
yes.
wow, this guy makes
Yes.
amazing pierogies or pizza, but like the way they talk and interact with people.
I just made friends with someone in Skipack. Skipack is one of those little small towns, okay? It's not far from where I live.
You're probably like me.
currently.
We make like friends everywhere, and
Yeah,
then you're like, this is my
exactly.
best friend from Lititz or Skipback.
Yeah, this is my
right?
bestie.
Yeah.
His name is Eric, and he was our waiter at this beautiful restaurant, and he was just like, he's like you, vibrant personality, just so personable. And he's like, oh my God, I love this dish. And I was like, I love you. I love
Yeah.
you. Let's be best friends.
Give me the dish,
And
whatever it is.
And he's
Yeah.
like texting. He's like, when are we hanging out? Like, it's just.
Again, normal in
it's so,
PA.
It's so easy to
Normal.
make friends. And I will say this too. One of my followers, Becca, see, I know people one-on-one. Like we, in the DMs, it's like John, Becca, Tim, like I know everybody now. So I don't know everybody, but Becca reached out to me a long time ago. She said, I just moved to Downingtown, which is, southeastern PA, from California, and with my husband. And she said, I was so nervous until I actually got here. And she goes, Kat, I don't know what's it's so easy to make friends here. The girl tribe, especially, is, so supportive, like women together, like supporting one another. And I was like, do you know how happy that makes? That makes me so happy to hear. That is like music to my ears. California to CA to PA, that's probably quite the culture
she moves
shock.
here, and then you go from like what feels like summer all the time to the Four Seasons, great people.
Exactly.
Which leads me to the next question.
Yes.
I got to get in.
Go.
What's your favorite season in Pennsylvania?
Right now.
Fall.
Hands down. I think this is my favorite season.
Do you like to be basic in fall?
I'm a basic fall girl. I'm going to be
Love
eating
that.
hay at the Apple Festival this weekend.
Eating hay. Eating hay.
I am going full throttle.
Yeah.
You have no clue, Ryan. It's so bad. I had a Hocus Pocus party last year because, they had the new movie.
Right.
This is my time to shine. I was just in my seasonal.
She's out, world. She's out.
I'm back, baby, sisters.
But you know what I
Yeah.
love about you as well? The content you share, you're very transparent and open. And the person I met, even in the parking lot before you came in, I'm like, this girl's so real and authentic. And
Oh
then
my
who
God, I
knew
love
we
you.
were from the same hometown?
I know. Oh
Because
my
I try
God.
not to do like too much digging because I kind of want to have a
Right.
regular organic chat.
Yep,
But
respect.
that like blew my mind when we had all these
I can't
connections.
even with that. We're best friends
Yeah.
now.
Besties.
Immediately. And also, speaking of the seasons, I just want to say this before we move on. Winter's fine. This is my time. Like the
Do you
cold
notice though a lot
months.
of people in Pennsylvania hate winter?
They do hate it
All the time.
Despise,
And it's
despise.
the same thing where it's like, oh, it's cold today. Man, I'm going to move south. And then spring comes like, I love PA.
Well, it's funny because then I have people, a friend in New England, she's in Boston. She's like, that's hilarious. Like that's so funny that everybody
Yeah.
in PA is so upset because they get it so bad, like real bad. And I used to live in upstate New York. Horrible. Like the wind and people have truly no idea. Like we have it pretty well here, pretty good. So spring, very underrated also. I feel like in spring, everything, it's crazy. The transition from winter, dead trees, and then you just have all this like lush green countryside in PA. I feel like I'm in Ireland. I've never even been to Ireland, but it feels like that. So I have my playlist in my car on all of my travels per season. Celtic music will be played in the spring. Just be prepared, dude. Like a little flute. And be prepared.
Yeah.
Be prepared. It's Celtic.
Did you go to the Celtic Woman show?
No.
Okay.
No, but I would love to
Yeah.
see them. Oh my God, I would love to see them. I went to the Celtic Fest in Bethlehem though. So, and yes, I said Bethlehem. So, spring is great. Fall is Adele. jazz. We're listening to the more sensual things in the fall and winter.
And speaking of just obviously like spring, fall, some amusement parks are still open. Then I'm getting to some other questions here. Do you visit them, and do you have a favorite amusement park in the state of Pennsylvania?
I haven't visited what I think will be my favorite yet. And do you know what it is? Knoebels.
I was either going to say
have you been?
Knoebels or Kennywood.
You have to have been. Okay.
Yes.
Is it as amazing as everyone's telling me?
Yeah, I mean, still family owned.
Yeah, which I love.
You got the old school wooden roller coaster going on there.
See, I'm here for the wooden roller coaster.
I got to give a shout out in Johnstown. If you grew up in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, you went to Idlewild Park.
You absolutely went.
The Crooked House.
The Storybook, the village.
Storybook Forest.
Storybook Forest, yes.
Idlewild Park, my nieces now are growing up and they've been there and they'll send pictures. And that to me, I'm like, gosh, I want to just go back and visit.
We should go back and visit. It's just like childhood healing a little bit, isn't it?
It is.
So lovely. Like that was the best.
Or my grandma used to call it Ideal Park.
Oh, an Ideal Park.
I'm like, Ideal, isn't it Idlewild?
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how she came up with that.
It is. And you know what else was great in Johnstown? Central Park and it still is. In
Central
Christmas
Park,
time,
you could walk it in 10 seconds.
And you can walk it in 10 seconds, and they have those little houses that the community
They still do
contributes
it.
to. Oh my God, I know.
Yeah.
And they have the big tree now.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in Johnstown.
J-Town represent.
Yes.
Peace up. Seriously.
I thought you were breaking out Usher there. Peace up,
A-Town.
A-Town.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I'm that person. Yeah.
All right, so Knoebels, favorite amusement park that you're looking to visit?
Hershey's great too. I do like Hershey for the rides. Yeah, I do.
And when
I'm a roller coaster person.
You talked about history earlier on.
Yes.
Is there a favorite historical spot you visited? The Liberty Bell? Because you said let's come back to that.
Oh, historical spot that I visited. Well, I did. Lititz was really interesting to me. Like that was a dose of history I did not know about. The Moravian Society, had no idea. Men and women were separate. It was very strict. So that was interesting. The Liberty Bell is very interesting, actually. We had that. There was a question about it.
I took my mom there recently.
Did you?
Because we were in Philly. We were staying there, and she's like, I just want to go see the Liberty Bell. And when I used to go out in Philly all the time, you pass by it like during the daytime. I'm like, yeah. She loved it.
She did. I was going to ask you, did
she got a little picture next to the Liberty Bell?
I bet she did.
I loved it.
Does she have that experience? Like when my parents visited from Western PA to Westchester and Southeastern, they were like, like they couldn't believe how much stuff was around. They were like, this is like glamorous. And people in Westchester, like all the trust fund babies in my apartment building, they were like, honey, what are your parents are cute? They were like, your parents are so cute. Like, look at them. Look at them.
Look at her on a historical tour. Roxanne going to the Liberty Bell.
Roxanne thought she was at the Ritz-Carlton. They were like, look at her thinking she's at the Ritz in Westchester.
Now, does Roxanne get in any of the videos herself? Because back in the day, you used to kind of act as her. Do you ever pull her in?
Sometimes. She's like, Catherine, get the camera off of me.
Yeah.
Is your mother like that, or does she like it?
Sometimes. My partner's more like that. My mom and I are like,
sweet.
literally, if you just put a blonde wig on me, I am my mother.
I love
right?
that.
And we're the same people. We pick up friends everywhere we go.
Her.
Right?
Yes, because I love you. Okay.
Best friends with everybody.
Okay, so she loved the Liberty Bell, which we're here
loved
for.
it.
And the Liberty Bell is actually kind of underrated when you're given the history of it. Like, they actually had to hide it.
And I mean, you walk
point.
where they did the Constitution and everything
right,
else.
you get the whole, that's the historical tour, which I think is like kind of obligatory. Do it. And then you're in Philly. There's a lot of great places to eat. South Philly, hit it up. That's where all the good eateries are. I used to go to South Philly a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of good BYOBs. I wasn't exposed to that until I started dating my Jersey fiance at the time. He was my fiance at the time. And then we would go to Philly, and his sister lives in Philly. And she was like, South Philly all the time. Let's go to this BYOB. There's a place called Angelina's. It's like a hole in the wall.
Love those spots.
Love. Yeah. And you bring your wine and you whatever, and you have the meatballs. I'm not even like the person at the table who grabs the meatball first. Like I'm kind of like, I can go without it. They're so good there. I like dream about them. They're delicious.
What is your favorite food in Pennsylvania? And snack.
Well,
because when people go away to college, like, Mom, send me chips from blank.
Exactly.
But I want you to fill in the blank.
Well, I think
favorite food made in PA.
It's pretty obvious, Perogies, because it has a nostalgic thing for me. Like Grandma Lucille made them, and my pap's side was Slovak and Polish, so he would make, they would kind of team up together. He did the caramelized onions.
Did you notice, though, the relatives, they get all ethnic when they say pierogies? Like, they'll be like normal
pierogi,
conversation.
Yeah,
they're like, Kat, great to see you. Do you want a pierogi? And you're like, you're wiping your face. You're like, sure. My partner, Matt, does that all the time.
Oh, does he really?
Oh, yeah,
He
Christmas time when we do, like, the dish of the, I don't know, not the 7 fishes, but it's like a meatless meal, right? I think on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, hey, do you want some of these pierogies? And I'm like, Matt, you just spit on me. Like, I don't know where it comes from.
I love
Yeah,
it for
my
him.
mom does it too. And I'm like, Mom,
Listen,
you don't really talk
no,
like that.
I've gotten in the habit of saying it both ways, and people in Philly are like, "How dare she say it that way?" I'm like, "Who are you? Like, are you even eating pierogi?"
Yeah. Do you like kielbasi or here I've heard kolbasi?
Well, I have not heard. That's the first time I've heard kolbasi. I've kielbasi. It's really like kielbasi from where I'm, like Western PA, Johnstown. Everybody always says kielbasi. Like that's just a thing.
And you got to have it on New Year's Day.
With your sauerkraut,
And
or
pork
you're
and
going
the
to
hot
have
dogs.
horrible luck for the rest of your life.
Roxanne said so.
So exactly.
Maybe the next podcast I just get your mom on here.
She would die.
With her towels.
I tried to do a podcast with her. Yes, with her towels. I tried to do a podcast with her. We don't know if she's talking about backsplash in the kitchen or if she's talking about freaking, I don't know. I don't know what this woman's talking about.
Yeah.
But if you get her, she would like crumble. She like cannot do camera. She can't. She's a nurse practitioner by trade.
My mother is a nurse.
Stop. Of course they are.
I can't.
Of
like,
course they are.
Could. My team's looking around. They're like, "Are we ready to wrap?" So, like, you and I are gonna be best friends.
Yes,
we can
are.
talk for 8 hours.
What's your mom's name?
Debbie.
Debbie. Okay, Debbie and Roxy. Listen, Debbie and Roxy.
they need to get together.
They know it. And,
And my
Roxy
mom
would die.
also says towels.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Debbie says that? Oh yeah. I
We're
should
working it
know.
out of her, but we're working on the to be verbs. Now that she's living here, we're putting the to be
Working on
verbs
the
back
to-be
in.
verbs. Is she really? Okay, see, I'm so conscious of that. Anytime
I'll talk
I say
to my
needs,
sister who lives in Johnstown,
Yeah.
and she'll say that. I'm like, did you mean that this needs to be
Correct.
done?
Yeah. You have to say to be. Like, I'm so conscious of that because people have called me out in the past.
And
like,
you still
needs
say
clean.
red up? What do you say?
I always say red up. And people in Southeastern are like, what? And it's like a PA Dutch thing, really. So like it's not just Western, but it's, you can find it in Central, whatever. But like people are like, what is she talking? Red up? Like red up, even like red up like yourself. My mother would be like, you better red up. I'm like, what are you?
AK, get your
That
life
means
together,
like,
cat.
and when
Yeah.
Roxanne is saying red up, she means it. Like get out of your sweatpants and get your life together.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Before I let you off the hook, let you
Yeah.
go, what is the best part of the journey you're on right now?
Oh my God, the people, like just the people. I feel like in the pandemic, I lost kind of like this connection to humanity, and this brought it all back. And it just reminded me how special this place is. Like truly, it sounds so cheesy, but we've talked about this openly. Pennsylvania really is such a special place. And anybody who doesn't live in PA, I encourage you to get out and come here. It's just try it out. Just try it out. Holla at us. We'll come out with you.
I'm listening to you say that. I'm like, this woman could be the governor of PA.
Yeah, right.
The way you're an ambassador for
You're
Pennsylvania.
crazy. No, I could not. I actually met the governor on a couple occasions, and I was like, I could never do this job. Never in a million years. Like,
You're like, I just want to eat pierogies and like have fun.
well, I also love how people are like, to just anyone in these positions of power, like they're like, why can't you just make that happen? And I'm like, are you in the seat? Like, how do you know? And truly, this has nothing to do with Republican, whatever, anything. Like,
Why does our road work never end?
Because
you're in PA.
And we were sitting here earlier about PennDOT's probably going to watch this. Like that loser talking to me. She has no idea.
Yeah, I get it.
Seriously, so,
I get it. But I think even coming back when we started this podcast about an hour ago,
Yeah.
to your journey and how you started working in, television news and then, school, everything else. Do you
Yeah.
feel like all of that and sort of the mud that you got through, set you up for this today? And you probably, and like a lot of people, you never saw this coming.
I do. It makes sense. It didn't. I never knew. I never knew this was going to be a thing. And everybody always says, "Well, what am I going to be doing in 5 years from now?" And the best answer I have to that is, don't worry about the how and just let it happen, because whatever is meant will be. So just don't stop obsessing over the how and just do what you love and what brings you joy. That is it. And look, we're doing what we love, what brings us joy. It is work, yes, but it's good work. It feels good.
You make me feel good.
Oh my gosh, you make me feel good too.
My kindred, you're a
So
kindred
sweet.
spirit. I love it. Kat, thanks so much. The Pennsylvania Junkie. How
you
can
for
people
having
follow
me.
you? Give
Yeah.
us the handles again, just because I want them to immerse themselves in your content, because you
you.
share so much
And
good
you
in Pennsylvania.
too. You share so much good in our state. Oh my gosh, I
Trying.
love it. No, I love it.
I mean, I don't get to
Please do.
Lititz too often,
You
but
gotta go to Lititz.
I gotta go to
Lititz. Okay, you have to. So it's Pennsylvania Junkie on all platforms: Instagram, TikTok.
and it's spelled out
Yep,
Pennsylvania Junkie.
Yep, and Facebook too.
Is there one thing you
YouTube.
want to do in the next couple years or year that's on your bucket list with your platform in PA that you're like, stay tuned for this?
I would like to have a podcast. I would love to have a podcast. I would love it. Like
Let us know. We'll produce it for you.
That's what I'm saying. I need to connect. That's why I was like, I got to connect with Ryan while I'm here. I would love to do that. And people have asked. I just don't know what it's going to look like. Like, it's just, I don't, again, here's
it could be on the road.
That's what I'm saying. People have said that, and I'm like, that's a lot of work.
And here's what I tell people, though. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just get started, and you'll figure it out.
Exactly. So that's something I would also love to hire team member, which I've hired some like freelancers, but not like actual members of my team who are stationed and permanent. But hopefully down the line, that would be great. I would love that.
All right. This has been amazing. I literally, you and
my
I
gosh,
could keep
this is so
going
much.
because there's so much to it.
These guys are like, get us out of here. Oh my gosh, sorry guys.
Check out the platforms at Pennsylvania Junkie. But seriously, the good you're spreading around PA.
Thank you.
And highlighting the people, the food. I
Thank
love
you.
it. We're
Oh
both
my
like
gosh.
little ambassadors of the state of Pennsylvania.
Yes, we absolutely
I'm so
are.
proud.
We need to team up and like
Yeah.
go into office or something. Can you
Nothing
imagine?
would get done with
Can
our
you
attention
imagine?
span.
Exactly.
Nothing. All right.
Exactly.
The one and only Kat. Thank you. I'm like
Thank
trying
you.
to hold you. I just
know.
love you. You're
I
like
love
my
you
little,
too.
little.
Oh my God, I love you.
Love it. All right, everybody. Kat from Pennsylvania Junkie. Thanks so much for your time, and thank you for being a part of this journey with us here on the Ryan Leckey Show. I'll see you soon.